Hello guys, I'm gonna deploy a CI/CD pipeline with Terraform. So I am starting with a main.terraform file, which is empty. I have an index.html file and a buildspec.yaml. I have a folder called website. So currently I'm on main.terraform. So before that, we need access keys. So how do you get your access keys? So probably when you do AWS configure, you can enter the access keys here. So I have mine already set up. So I'm going to skip this part. Uh, to check whether your uh, AWS CLI configuration is working or not, you can do AWS EC2 describe instances. I'm going to use profile Santos and reason as US East 1. I should see no reservations or no any EC2 instances, which is as expected. So my profile Santos is set up. So first of all, I need a website. So my website is a simple file called index.html. It says hello from Genes. Okay, that's what it says. I'm gonna close it, and now I'm gonna add a build spec.yaml. So the build spec YAML says what to do when the build trigger starts. So I'm going to start with version 0.2 artifacts files, and I'm going to give index.html. So this is my build spec YAML. I could also install phases here. Phases could be like deploy. I mean, installing the node package module npm, or maybe you could do something with Maven or Gradle or anything. So it's basically just a bash script running over here. So for this demo, I'm just going to use index.html as my file. So all it's going to do is it's going to push the index.html as a build artifact. So I have main.tf. So in my main.terraform, the first thing I'm going to do is bring in the Terraform code. So required provider, I just need to install AWS. So first I need to do, I'm going to save it, Terraform init. So I just initialize the Terraform. So it will download AWS. See, it's finding Corp AWS. So while it's doing that, I'm also going to describe the provider. So my provider is AWS, and I'm going to use Santos as profile as I did it earlier over here. So I'm going to use US East 1 as my default region. So while it's initializing it, I also created a variable which is named bucket name. So the default value is TF Terraform CodePipeline Santos. So this is the name of bucket. So I am gonna need another bucket, which is CodePipeline artifact bucket. This bucket. This bucket is for the build final build. It's gonna host the static website, and this bucket will have private access control ACL, private ACL, and then it is gonna hold the build artifacts. Maybe you don't want all the build artifacts to be public, so that's why I made the build artifacts in a different bucket. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a repository, code repository, just like we have GitHub. We can have a code repository inside AWS ecosystem, and I'm going to call it Terraform Santos. And so I'm going to make a role. So it is code pipeline role, and I'm going to name it as default TF code pipeline role. Also I'm gonna make another role. This is for code pipeline, and this is for code build. This is just a variable in the Terraform. So variable, I could make a new file called Terraform variable, and then I could load it from here as well. But for now, I'm using the default ones like this one. So VPC, where does this comes from? So if you see VPC over here. So I do have a default VPC. So 1F in Singapore. So most probably when I'm going in North Virginia, I should get the 6b2, 0676b2. Yeah, I get the 0676b2. This VPC, I'm gonna copy paste it over here. So after the VPC, I'm gonna need a bucket, which is artifact bucket. It's not the public bucket which hosts the static file, but so I'm gonna name var, which means variable.code pipeline. So I've referred it here. So this is gonna be a private bucket. So next, I'm gonna make another bucket. Let's make another bucket. I'm gonna call it. It's the same type, right? AWS S3 bucket. It's the type of the resource, and the name of bucket is going to be code pipeline bucket. And what it is going to have is bucket. So bucket equals to var dot bucket name, because this is the variable. Where's my variable? Bucket name. So this is the name of my bucket, and then I can have a policy. So policy is deprecated for now. Shows a cross line, but still I'm going to use it. So for the policy, I can give a policy. So this is strange, but trust me, this is a policy. So this person enforces Terraform to treat these things as a JSON document. So we have a version statement, and this could be anything. This is optional. I'm allowing all the resources for S3 get object, and the resource is S3 var.bucket name. Inside the ARN of the bucket, I'm going to allow all objects to all the resources. So this is made a public. This is the objects of the bucket are made public over here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another configuration, AWS S3 bucket website configuration, so that this bucket over here, code pipeline bucket, this bucket can publicly throw files, and also the routing rules over here. So the index document I have listed as index.html, and even the error document, since I only do have one, I also list it as index.html. So whenever I get a request at slash or the root, I am redirecting it to index.html. So the next thing I'm going to do over here is AWS Codecommit repository example repo. I'm going to make a new Codecommit repository inside the AWS ecosystem, and I'm going to name it as var.repo name. So if you see the repo name is tfcp santosh. So this is the repository name. So one more thing, I'm going to do AWS IAM role, code pipeline role. So I made the role, I just made the role, and I put the inline policy over here. So what it's gonna do is everything related to code pipeline, I can assume the role. So I just made the role over here. So now I'm gonna define the policy for code pipeline role. So let me define it. So AWS IAM role, code build role, var.code build role. This comes, I've predefined it over here. So assume role policy. So this is the policy. STS assume role. This is for the code build, whereas the previous one is for code build. I just made the roles. So this policy just says assume the role. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say allow something, disallow something. It just says assume role. It just says assume role. So the actual policy. So let me build the actual policy. So here's the actual policy. So what this policy is doing is, so it's let's check at the first statement. It allows log group, log stream, and put log events on all the resources. So the second one is doing it needs describe network interface. It needs delete network interface. All these permissions I'm gonna allow all these actions. So the next one is it allows create network interface permission and delete network interface permission. So if you don't add this delete network interface permission whenever you do Terraform destroy, so you will not be able to delete the network interface. So this is necessary thing. So resource for the all the network interface, I could create network interface and delete the network interface for these inside this ARN. So condition string equals, so this is my subnet. I copied the subnet ARN. So if you see a subnet, it should be 982 021 982. So it should probably be this one, 982 982. Yes, it's this subnet. So I copied the ARN from here. So it allows, it gives the necessary permission for code build. So code build has to spawn EC2 instances. It has to put logs, log events, network interfaces. So all these permissions are allowed. So here's one more thing: code pipeline bucket and code artifact bucket. So I've given the permission to the code build instance. The policy is I can even in the code pipeline bucket, it's the artifact bucket. So it can put artifacts in one bucket, and it can also put the build file in another bucket. So I've given listing the buckets as well as doing anything with the objects within the bucket. So both of these permissions. So after this, I have one big permission, which is for code pipeline policy. So this policy is going to be attached with code pipeline role, and the previous policy is gonna attach with code build role. So there are two roles. So please do not get confused with it. So let's actually make our pipeline. So here's our pipeline. So what does my pipeline say? It's the resource type is AWS Code Pipeline, and I called it example pipeline. So I named it example pipeline. So the role ARN is going to be AWS IAM role code pipeline role.arn. So the code pipeline role, which I previously defined, which is this one. This is the code pipeline role. So I have artifact store as S3. So which S3 bucket? Code pipeline artifact bucket, not the code pipeline bucket. So here's one stage, and I named it as source. And this the owner is AWS and the provider is Codecommit. So I named it as version 1, and output artifacts SRC. So if you go in the code pipeline artifact bucket, you will see a folder SRC. So inside SRC, you'll see a folder example pipeline, and inside example pipeline you'll see the artifacts in the SRC folder. So I have a configuration here. Repository name is var.repo name. So this repo name I have created, I have used this one. And where is this used? This is used inside Codecommit repository. So the branch name I have put master. So there's one more stage which is known as build. So I named the for the action I named it code build, and the category is build. Owner is AWS, provider is code build. So if you see the provider was Codecommit. So in this build stage, the provider is code build. So input artifacts is SRC, because this is the output artifact, and whatever this outputs, so this is gonna take it. So version I put it 1 for no reason. Output artifact, so build output. This is the name of the folder where it's gonna put inside the artifact store, which is code pipeline artifact bucket. So configuration, it's just the name of the project, CFC project. So actually I named it this way, but there isn't any I could actually decouple it into variable at the top. but the best practice is I have to define the project first, right? Build for the build. So I'll do it in a while. So leaving this aside, I have another stage called deploy. So I named it S3 deploy. Category is deploy AWS on S3. Input artifacts is build output, because I'm gonna take whatever the build stage builds. Maybe it's gonna install Maven, Gradle dependencies. It's gonna install Node modules and all those stuff. And maybe it's gonna export some build files. Whatever it builds, I take this as input in the next stage called deploy. So this is my code pipeline infrastructure's code. So let's actually build the uh, code build project, because I have named code build project as CFC project. So actually I'm gonna build it right now. So AWS code build projects, I'm gonna name CFC project, name CFC project. It shows CFC project here, but what I could do is, instead of this, I could do this thing dot this thing dot name. So this is the same thing, right? So I could do this as well, but for now let's do this. So I've written the description. I have set 5 minutes as timeout, and service role is code build role. So code build role, I've given the service role here, and you could see I've given the role here as code pipeline role. So I've made the role. So this role assumes this policy. STS assume role assumes these policy document. So here are two policy and two roles. So the role is assuming the policy. So if I go down here, so I've made the code build project. Now let's create the output. So output is going to be AWS S3 bucket website configuration. So this is the website configuration. .website endpoint. You can also try autocomplete .website endpoint. So let me save it. So I have written the infrastructure, which is like 467 lines of code, but since I had previously done it, I just copied it from another window. So I have these infrastructure as code. So let's see. I've initialized the Terraform. After initializing the Terraform, you can see the Terraform this provider has been downloaded. So let me init again. This initialization is because maybe I have used some dependency, maybe they need to be downloaded. So let me initialize it again. So I've used the provider AWS. So let me check whether the infrastructure has already been spawned. In the US East one, I'm going to check a TFCP Santosh bucket. So let's go to S3. I'm going to buckets, and if there's nothing called TFCP Santosh, so I'm going to do Terraform format. So it formatted main.terraform. So what format does is, maybe I have some unformatted code, and if I do it, so it will put this in place. So let's do Terraform apply Terraform command not found. Oh my god. Terraform, okay, I misspelled it. So Terraform apply. So what it's gonna do is, it plants it first and then tells me with so these resources will be added, these resources will be modified. So since these resources aren't present, the plus means create everything. It's gonna create all those things. So let me type yes to apply these terraforming. So what it's doing is, it's creating a code commit repository. It's creating a role. It's created a role for code pipeline and code build. It's created an artifact bucket. So now, most probably, if I refresh it, if I refresh it, I should probably see these two buckets are made ready for me. So code pipeline, inside code pipeline, I am expecting one code pipeline in here, example pipeline. So it's apply complete resources, 10 resources has been added for me. So every time if I have to change something, for example, instead of this example pipeline name, so pipelines, if I modify it as pipelines, so I'm gonna Terraform apply again. So let's see what happens. So it's checking, it's refreshing state for those infrastructures which have not changed. So what it does is this tilde sign with blue tilde means it's modify, most probably, if I see here, and plus minus is destroy and then create. It destroys code pipeline and creates it for me, and it modifies this for me. So I'm gonna do yes. So if I refresh it, it's being deleted, and I should see code pipelines, the added S. So this is how changes in the infrastructure will reflect. So since I already have a pipeline, so let's push the, so I have a pipeline. Let's see what has happened inside here. It failed because invalid action configuration. The AWS CodeCommit branch master doesn't exist. That's right, because in our CodeCommit we don't have any of the master branch. So how I'm going to do it? So this is my repository that I've created. So I'm going to clone SSH. I'm going to go inside the website, cd website. If I see I have build spec and index.html, so I'm going to initialize a git repo, git add dot git commit initial commit for build trigger. Let's do this as a commit, and then so I just initialize it. I shouldn't have any remote origin. Git remote. Let's see if I do have anything. So git code commit. Okay, I do have. So git. So let's do rm rf dot git. Since the code commit for so I just removed the git settings if there was some still git stuff. So let me git initialize, let me add it, and then let me commit. So I just committed. Now if I see if I do have any remote, there is no any remote repository. So I'm gonna clone SSH. So git remote add origin. So this thing. So if I try to git push origin main, it shouldn't allow me. Are you sure you want to continue? Let's try. Can't be established. Okay, even if I give my password, please make sure you have the correct access rights. So I don't have enough access rights. So first I have to generate the RSA key pair, which I already do have. So my private keys are root / dot SSH. So I already have ID RSA, multiple things. I do have it here. So I already have generated a key pair. So this is how you generate a key pair. You could look at the public file. So I have a ID RSA, and I'm gonna less SSH. Actually, I'm gonna bring .ssh / ID RSA dot public. So I'm going to copy this. Is it lined or something? It shouldn't be that way. So it's on a single line. So this is my public RSA. So this value, username, hopefully there's my email address as well. So what I'm gonna do is I need to go to the IAM console, and inside the users I'm gonna upload SSH public key, and these are my contents. So I'm gonna upload it. So I just got a new one. So this is the new thing. This is the new one. So SSH key AAEE. It's for R2U. Let's see. So most probably it is this one. Let's reload the page. Most probably it's this one. This is my public key. Is it? Is it so? C1Y. Okay, maybe I'm wrong about it. So let's just copy this. Let's just copy this inside. So this person and this person. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open bash, or maybe I could just do it inside here. vi root /ssh/config. So I'm gonna edit it at the end. Sorry. I'm gonna paste it, host git code commit, and for this person I'm gonna copy this. Actually I could, this is a dumb way to do things, guys. So actually I need to do DW to delete the word, and I'm gonna paste it. Well, I pasted example again since that was on my clipboard. So I'm gonna insert and paste it. I'm gonna put a space over here. So every time it sees a git code commit anything, it will use this identity file codecommit.rsa. So it's not the case. In my case, it's so it's ID RSA. Right, and quit. So let's do the push thing again. So git push origin main. It asked me for my password and refuse 0. So it pushed it. So the setup was successful. So if I look at my code commit, now if I refresh, there is no file. Now if I refresh it, I should probably see some file with build spec and the index.html. So it's done it. So let's see the code pipeline. There should be one more code pipeline, not in the Singapore region, but in the US East 1 region. So there should be email pipelines, example pipelines. So it failed. It hopefully, as soon as it senses there's been a trigger on the code commit, it should have run it. It should have triggered. I don't know why it is delaying. Should have triggered it, right? 7 minutes ago. Branch name master. If this is the repository name, it should have triggered it. I don't know why it didn't trigger it. It should have triggered it. Didn't trigger it. Oh my god. It should have done it. So maybe let me release the change myself for now. Code commit in progress just now. History. It failed the previous time. So maybe it will succeed now. Failed. Invalid action. The action failed because no branch name master was found in the selected. Okay. So there should be something called master, right? In this repository. Oh my god, I did it in the main, of course. I'm so dumb. So git checkout -b master. I switched it to new branch master. Git push origin to the master. So I pushed it again. So I pushed it to the master, and now hopefully it should trigger on its own. So it failed previously, but since it's the main branch, if I refresh it, I should see a master branch here as well. Please, yes, I can see the master branch, and hopefully this should trigger as well. This didn't trigger. Oh, retried. I did it manually. Oh my god, I shouldn't have done it manually. Got initial commit for build. See. Anyway, it just does its thing. So I'm in the pipeline. It succeeded the source. So the initial commit for build trigger, and it's in progress. So let's see the details. So phase details. It has submitted it. It's been queued and it's provisioning. It's successfully provisioned because because I have the standard 4.0. It's the latest image. So it provisions quick. So if you could have older versions, it takes like crazy 100 and more seconds to provision the resource. So it has completed, succeeded. So if I see at my bucket, so I have these two buckets. Let's see this bucket. So this bucket, it doesn't have any object yet. This is the actual final static web hosted bucket, and this is the artifact bucket. So this artifact should have some file. It has example file. So here's the source. It's a zip thing, and here's the build output. This is also a zip. So what it has done is, if I look at this now, it has put index.html. So if I see Terraform output, it since I have output in my file website URL, no output found, defined are empty. What? You're kidding me. Let's apply it again. No configuration file. Okay, so I'm inside the website folder. That's why it didn't give me any that's why the output was empty. So I go at the root one folder back. So Terraform output. So it should give me the output. Website URL should be shown, most probably. Yeah, it's here. So I copy this thing, and if I go over here, I put the dot. It should probably so. Oh my god, this is so it. Oh boy, we have wasted my time. It should probably show hello from Genes. Yeah, it shows. So next time, hello from Genes solution. So I just git add commit next trigger. I can't add it because it's not a git repo. CD website git add git commit another trigger git push origin main. Oh my god, I'm used to with main. Just use the master thing. What? So it's pushed it to the master. Hopefully this time I don't have to. So if I refresh this, Control Shift R, it's still hello from Genes. But if you see the code pipelines, most probably it succeeded in the previous build. But I hope it will trigger on its own. I don't have to manually trigger it. So if I see code commit, I can already see it. but I have no idea why this succeeded, and maybe I should wait a little while. History, initial commit. So actually, this one thing is for the initial commit happened 2 minutes ago, and this is when I manually build it. So it's built 2 times. So you can also see in the bucket. Where's the bucket? S3, this one. So you could see here clearly there are two builds, because one happened triggered automatically, and one of them succeeded just now, another trigger, and it's another trigger is building, and this succeeded was for the previous trigger. So it's initial commit for the build trigger. This another trigger is still building over here. So it's running, it's building. Let's wait for it. So every time I push hello, previously it was hello from ZenS. If you see it here, it's still hello from ZenS, but as soon as the build ends, build is taking time. I don't know why. So let's see the details, where it's stuck, phase details. So it's completed actually. Build logs, it succeeded. So pipelines. So it succeeded. So if I refresh this page, I see the updated thing, hello from ZenS solution. So with this Terraform codes, so I was able to so if the next time I need Angular build, a React build, I just need to update my build spec YAML. So you can find code build spec YAML for React build. So let's do the first thing what I see. So yes, you just need to copy the build spec YAML and paste it over here. So it will use the public src package.json app spec YAML, and it will copy the scripts. So for now, this is enough. So what I've sold, what you can see in this demo is every time I update my code and I push it to the repository, you can see that my changes are reflected in the deployment. So maybe in the next thing I could add some CloudFront distribution. I could add some HTTPS, since this is not secure. So that's it. So if I have to remove everything, so I could do Terraform destroy. It's in the website master. So destroy completed, 0 resource deleted. So if I go to the a folder back, a directory back, so if I do Terraform destroy, I made a typo. If I do Terraform destroy, it's gonna eventually delete everything. So it's refreshing the state, it's deleting the policy, it's removing it one by one. So it says all these file marked as red, it will be gone. So if you see the Terraform state, let me do a no. If you see the Terraform state, you can see all the output variables. So this is the state. You have a Codecommit repository. It's named example repository. So it's the repository. Where's the repository? Codecommit repositories. It's named example repo, but this example repo, it is named example repo because in the Terraform code itself, it's represented as example repo, not the actual name, not the repository name. The repository name is tf cp santos. So you can see it here as well. If you see in the Terraform state, you can see all the resources. You can see, let's check the S3 bucket. So you could see there's a TCP Santos S3 bucket over here. So okay, this is the role. Let's see some more S3. So dependencies, because I have also put depends on. So this depends on code build role. So you could see the dependencies before this thing is deleted. It makes sure this code pipeline role artifact bucket code pipeline bucket is deleted. So this is my Terraform state for now. So I'm gonna close it, and I'm gonna do Terraform destroy, and we'll see the state file after we have done after we have destroyed the Terraform deployment. Let's do a yes. So it's destroying it for me. It says deleting S3 bucket. The bucket you try to delete is not empty. So let's delete the bucket as well. The bucket files. So I'm going to delete the index.html. Good. It's deleted, and I'm also going to delete all the 3 stuffs in here. Maybe I did a not so appropriate thing. I should empty the bucket from here. I just deleted it. Close. So both the bucket are empty. Most probably I should be able to destroy. So if you okay, if it showed the error on only 2 things. So if you see the Terraform state, now you only have 2 buckets. So this bucket is for AWS S3 bucket for code pipeline bucket, and this is for AWS S3 code pipeline artifact bucket. So only these 2 things are reflected in your Terraform state. So as the buckets are empty, let me destroy this as well, and we'll check the Terraform state again. So it's planning it. It's checking whether it can delete it or not. So I put a yes. It's destroying, and resource 2 destroyed. So now if I refresh this page, it should give me an error because this thing doesn't exist. So as expected. So S3 management, if I refresh it, this would be gone. There are no nothing that matches TF. There's nothing, no bucket as such. So I have created. So even if you see this URL, you should see access denied, not found. Yeah, it works fine. So we have created a Codecommit CodePipeline and code deployment stages with Terraform. Thank you so much.